Afternoon. I'm Ranger Dave and I'm in Galveston, Texas, a lot farther away from home than usual. And I'm standing in front of what used to be my wife's sister's home. Now it's interesting that I use the word what used to be, and there's a reason for that, as today we're going to be talking about kind of a four-letter word, something you really don't want to go through. And hopefully I can explain a few things from our personal experience and maybe how you can avoid it. It's a little four-letter word called probate. You don't want to go there. Let's talk about it. Probate. This is one of those words that no one wants to talk about because it happens to other people. And this is the case until one day you are the other people. And this happened to us. There is a basic lesson that I've learned through this process and hope to pass on to you as others have gone through this, and we've learned it the hard way. The best way to learn something is let it be somebody else's hard way. This basic lesson is something is better than nothing. Okay, drive that into your brain regarding these end-of-life issues. Something is better than nothing. Most people will put off end-of-life planning as they want to do it right. They want to do it perfectly. It involves lawyers, accountants. You can't afford it, so you put it off. Something is better than nothing. This was the case with our beloved Christy. She wanted to do it right. She thought she was healthy, and she put it off, and she wound up doing nothing. Till one day, a long-standing health issue that no one knew about, and the medical field never caught, and it happened with a series of events that at the time seemed rather normal, and it took her away from us essentially in a matter of hours. Christy was a well-organized young lady. She worked for the Army Corps of Engineers in Galveston. She was a regulation specialist. She was the person that made sure you got your paperwork done correctly. So you'd think that hers would be done, and you would be wrong. Never assume these things. Even if you have a very organized relative, never assume these things. Ask your relatives before you even need to. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable question, but it should be asked. She had 3 homes, 2 substantial retirement accounts, 1 substantial life insurance policy. And in the end, we had access to 0. We had access to 0. We could not access any of it. We had nothing. When we got to Galveston, we essentially had to find a credit card. Again, she had all these assets, and we had to find a credit card with enough credit that we had to put her funeral expenses on a credit card. We had to start a GoFundMe account. We had to rely on friends for funeral expenses and travel expenses. We had all these assets available to us. No, not really. No, we had nothing. But what about the life insurance policy? That's what everybody hit us with. Yeah, what about it? Okay, that's what everybody asked. So through a small print technicality, she never listed a beneficiary. That's impossible, you might say. Yeah, it's the government, and it actually is possible. You had to go online, put your beneficiary, but in the fine print, you also had to print it out and send it in. That part she never did, and so it clicked back to, unbeknownst to her, no beneficiary. So don't say it's not possible. It's the government, and it's possible. So now we're in probate. How could this have been avoided? Remember, something is better than nothing. We had to get a lawyer involved, Fortunately, Christy seemed to always have all the right friends. A friend made a call, got us in with a high dollar Houston attorney, and he's took our case with half his regular fee. We were told at that time even a sticky note with their signature naming a beneficiary would have saved us weeks in this process. Something would have been better than nothing. That would have been called a holographic will. What is a holographic will? Essentially, it's a piece of paper. You put your name on it. Okay, you list your list of beneficiaries or people that you want your stuff to go to. You sign it. Then you have your friends, a friend, non-related friend, sign it. Granted, you can get it notarized, but either way, it's a holographic will. It's something that you can take to the court, expresses your wishes in writing. Is it airtight? Of course not. Nothing is. And if you get into probate, you'll find out nothing is airtight. But something is better than nothing. Now, you can do nothing at all, and in probate, you can kick it all to the state. The state will take care of it, but this is where probate cases can sometimes take years. Okay? So you can get involved yourself or get a lawyer, and you can speed the process up, but it is going to be a process. We had the benefits of a good lawyer, good attorney, and this has sped the process up considerably. Now, another thing you can do, if it's possible, and we were fortunately very smart and very careful, and we were able to continue to pay her bills and keep her seasonal rental business going for 3 months before any creditors knew that she has been deceased. And that bought us 3 months of normalcy, or seeming normalcy. Not, but because you got to do this, because once one creditor finds out that the person's deceased, it snowballs and everything's shut down. Bank accounts, everything, you're going to have access to nothing. So we had 3 months to essentially get ready for that moment. Another thing you need to do, you need to have access to passwords. That's another point. Make your passwords easy to find and easy access. Now, Christy had everything. Seemingly it's a smart thing to do. Have one of those apps on your phone. Put all your passwords on the phone. Okay. When you're deceased, does anybody know your phone password? Huh? Do they? Okay. We got lucky. We guessed and we got lucky, and we had got access to this, and having those passwords really helped. So keeping things running as normal as possible, we bought ourselves time, but don't expect this, because we considered it a small miracle. Now, we got through all the filing stage. This is where it's important that your relatives cooperate. And this is where you're going to find out if you got relatives that are not going to cooperate, or if you had a drug-addled relative that's going to come out of nowhere and it's going to make everything's complicated. Okay, we were fortunate. Everybody cooperated. Again, this rarely happens. We consider that another small miracle. Now, we just finished up what's called the ad litem stage, the ad litem attorney. Now, what is that? I never heard about it till I got involved in this, and maybe you've never heard about it either. This is a state double check, and it varies within states. In Texas, they use an ad litem. It's a state double check. They're going to get involved, and they're going to find out if you're lying, or they're going to find out there's a long-lost relative that nobody knew about. The state wants to know if you're hiding anything, okay? And you're going to have to pay for this, and it's going to come out of this state anywhere to the tune of a few $100s to maybe $1,000, thousands. But it's usually relatively nominal, but expect to pay, and you can't get around it. They wanted in Texas, they wanted 4 witnesses, of which they would use 2, and these had to be non-related people. You had to pick friends that best knew the deceased, best knew Christy and the family, and preferably knew, or mostly knew, the deceased, what they would have wanted. Okay, then these ad litem, the ad litem attorney will call these witnesses, and with one of our witnesses, they spent over an hour on the phone. They get into really personal questions, so expect them to do that, and warn your relatives. Warn your friends. And these people will also have to appear in court, so make sure they know this ahead of time. Okay, so they're going to be asked very direct questions, and they're also going to have to appear in court, at least in Texas. Every state, you check your state. Okay. Now, we've passed that, and now we're into our final filing stage. Okay, our lawyer and ad litem has to get together, essentially put it all together, and a file for that court date. And in Galveston County, Texas, that's within 90 days. It's just, you're going to get asking anything direct. How long? Nobody's going to give you a straight answer on that. Nobody's going to give you, so this could be anywhere from, for us, 2 weeks from now or 3 months from now. So in all the cases, in all this probate cases we've been fortunate. Other people have not been as fortunate. Family issues and complications come in. So take a lesson from us. Plan ahead so that you can avoid this. Remember, something is better than nothing. Okay? Have your passwords easily findable for all your passwords, from bank accounts to credit card, whatever. All your passwords. Have them findable. Because in the end, you don't want your memory of your loved one to be marred by, you want to swing a hardcover Bible at them 1,000 times and just take it out on them of all the grief and problems that you've had. You want to remember them in the way that they would have been wanted to be remembered. Well, I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you understand a little bit about probate. It's not something that you ever want to go through with you or your family. So hopefully you'll all be a little bit better prepared. Kind of avoid, talk to anybody that's been through it. It's something you do want to avoid. And we'll see you next time. This has been Dave from West Valley Rural.